I'm coming on your stag do's as well, which is going to be wonderful. I am.
Are you?
Uh-huh. I'm not going to...
I don't think I'm going to have a stag do. I think they're really old-fashioned.
I think I've discovered we're a family of inveterate liars. Hello and welcome to Seriously with Sarah Beanie. Let's face it, having open and honest conversations with your family isn't always easy, but on this podcast, that's exactly what we're going to do. This week, we are confessing some family secrets, considering quitting, and we take a listener question. So my big question this week is it ever okay to lie to your family?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, probably.
Ooh. Well, that's simple. That's the end of that podcast. Hope you enjoyed it. See you next week. So why is that such a definite yes?
Do you remember when you made that pasta thing? That was like chili pasta.
Mm-hmm.
And you said, do you like it? And I said, yeah. I didn't like it. It was disgusting.
Did you lie? Actually, I think I have lied a lot about food, thinking about it.
You lie all the time.
I do.
I go, Mum, what's in this bolognese? And you go, just regular bolognese ingredients.
It's a Jamie Oliver recipe. That's her favourite
It's a
line.
Jamie Oliver
I
recipe.
do
You do
say
that all the
a lot.
time.
I figure if I say it's a Jamie Oliver recipe, then I'll get away with basically sticking all the leftovers and sort of whizzing them up. And because they're so impressed with that. I just want everyone to know that. They're so impressed with Jamie Oliver. So if I say it's Jamie Oliver recipe, basically I can.
Do you want to know what's really awful?
away
Do you want to know
with
what's
it.
really awful? Is that Mum was known by my two older cousins, and she used to make soup, and it was called, what was it called? Auntie Sarah's Scary Soup.
Yeah.
Because they were terrified of it, because you never knew what would be in the soup.
Because it's all the stuff from the fridge.
Yeah, but when I
whizzed up
say
in a
all the
blender.
stuff, when you say all the stuff, you mean everything.
Yeah.
That like half like moldy like onion right at the back.
No, I take the mold
That like
off.
that like milk that's like spread itself on one of the drawers entirely,
It's
all
not
corners,
true.
and it's like soured a little bit. Just
No.
scrape that into the soup there. Scrape that off there.
It's all jolly good food.
No, but I don't know when it became a thing that you had to do all the cooking, though. We're all adults now. We can't complain about you scraping up all the
Exactly.
leftovers.
My cooking's amazing.
Your cooking is good, actually.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is good. It is
I
good.
can cook a mean fried egg.
I learned a little bit because I remember Laurie when he was about 5. I've got a video of it where I said it was a pasta dish, and I gave him the pasta, and he said, "What is this?" And I said, "Oh, it's Jamie Oliver recipe." And he said, "No, it isn't. It's all yesterday's roast, all chopped up in pasta." And I went, "It's not. That is Jamie Oliver recipe." He went, "No, look, there's last week's broccoli. That's yesterday's chicken. That's a bit of yesterday's Yorkshire pudding." I was like, "Absolute nonsense. That's Jamie Oliver recipe."
I've lied and I've been bad before though with my lying.
Have you?
Yeah.
What have you lied about?
So I was with Rafi and Laurie, and I just watched the film Karate Kid.
Mm-hmm.
And I had this sort of obsession with training Rafi and Laurie to make them like amazing fighters, and I thought that I had it in me, but they wouldn't do it for some reason. So I told them that if they got to a black belt at karate, my training karate, then they can see in the dark, their eyes start to glow red, and that they can fly.
Can I just clarify one thing as well? This isn't just any form of karate. Me and Charlie did karate when we were
Yeah,
kids,
you're
and
both black belt, which
and
is
we actually
amazing.
we did get to black belts. Charlie's form of karate was basically just making Rafi and Nori beat each other up. And then he got all of his karate belts out. He would make Rafi and Nori beat each other up, and then every 10 minutes or so, he would just give them another belt.
So all your old belts, you'd
Yeah.
take them through the belts.
It wasn't actually called karate. I called it
You need to push through the pain.
push through the pain as they were crying. Push through the pain. And I would do that because it was all because I saw the film and I thought I would be a really amazing Mr.
Sensei.
Miyagi.
So I'd
I
like
thought
to
I'd
ask,
been
is
amazing.
that
It was
bullying?
called Blackwater training. That's what I called it.
Blackwater.
Gotta be
Yeah.
peaceful, Blackwater. I was quite young. And then one day Rafi went, "Sensei, I'm ready for my Blackwater training." And he came back from school and I went, "You didn't actually think that you could fly, did you?"
You're so horrible. So,
And then
your
he-
younger brother call you sensei as well.
And then he started crying
oh, you're so mean.
after I'd made him run around. I actually felt
Actually, I really hate
horrible.
you now.
That's so horrible, Char.
I
I
really
was so
hate you.
young. I was so young, and I thought it was really cool.
He was probably about 3.
But I was only 6.
Poor Rafi.
I wouldn't do that to anyone.
You're so horrible.
He still talks about it to this day.
I remember you telling me that I could do anything I put my mind to. I put my mind to making a flying suit, and you refused to let. I think I've already spoken about this on this podcast.
We were furious though. It's still a very
Yeah,
current
but-
moment in our lives.
It was moronic. You climbed on top of the kitchen roof and tried to jump off
And you
with
didn't
a
let-
bin bag sellotaped to yourself.
And you didn't let me jump
I
off.
had a blanket actually.
Well, that's
It was
okay
the one that
then.
had those little embroidered green dinosaurs in the corner.
But still, I mean, off a roof.
What are some more lies that you used to tell?
You used to make up the most elaborate story about getting us to eat all the food that we didn't want to eat.
Yeah, there was a lot of persuading you to eat
Because you had that friend, your really good friend,
Yeah, it's
who
true, this
all
story.
his life
Mhm.
didn't try chocolate because it was the same color as poo, and then he, on his deathbed,
He lived all his life without
he lived
chocolate.
all his life without
90.
chocolate.
He lived to.
And then he lived to 90,
Mhm.
and he got to his deathbed, and he said, "Fine, I'll try chocolate." And he tried it, and he went, "Oh, that's the most delicious thing I've ever tried in my life." And then he died.
Yeah.
He's, I wish I could have eaten that more when I was alive.
Yeah.
And then he
Which is
died.
why you have to try everything.
So Mum would tell us that to get us to eat stuff that we didn't want to eat. So
Yeah.
she'd be like, just because it looks disgusting doesn't mean that it actually is disgusting. But
Normally,
you say that,
and it was normally a soup that you'd whizzed up from the fridge.
I think I always thought that rather than saying "don't do that," it was.
you had a
best
friend.
to-
You had a friend that you that took an eye out cutting their own hair.
Yeah, that's because I
Because
didn't want.
we used to cut our hair because our friend, hair would be on my eyes.
Yeah, that was to try and encourage you to not put scissors near your eye. But I always thought it was more just. It was better to tell you rather than say "don't do that." 'cause
Yeah.
When I was,
I
a
think you're probably
child,
right. though.
Every time I was told "don't do that," I just thought, "Why? Well, I'm going to do it then." I haven't even thought about doing it until you said "don't," so I'll do it now. and I think because I was quite a difficult child, and I always needed an explanation. That's why I hated school. I always thought, what's the point in all this? Someone explained why you learn it, I would have learnt it, but I didn't see any point. And I suppose when I was bringing you guys up, I thought, if I give you a story about something that has happened to someone who did do it, then I don't need to say don't do it because you'll see it's obvious not to do it. So
Yeah.
the stories were about, that was my method of discipline. It was to make up stories about terrible things that had happened to people who did the things that I didn't want you to do.
That's another lie. We had someone that came to Rise with us.
Oh, there was a sound man for one of the shows we did at Rise who said that woodlouse tasted like Cocoa Pops.
So did you eat one?
Yep.
Yeah. Live cruelling woodlice.
And so
He was trying. He was
And
trying.
Billy loved him. Billy loved him so
Yeah.
much. He had a bit of a man crush on this adult figure.
more than one.
So he
He was really cool.
Yeah, yeah. They actually really do. They really, and then kept eating them.
he was called Laurie, which is why we've called Laurie because he was so nice.
Really?
Yeah.
Yep. But in his defense, he did eat one before.
Yeah, he did actually.
Did
He was
he
like,
eat
"Look,
it?
delicious." All 4 of us ran over to this log that's falling apart. They all have this brains to go, "That's a bit disgusting. I don't think I'm going to do that." I literally
Billy's
was trying to
going,
impress.
yeah, it does. Who's got some milk?
Do you think it's possible he just pretended to eat the woodlouse?
So, Mum, have you ever lied to your parents? Did you ever lie to your parents?
I think I did lots of times, but normally because they didn't need to know the truth. Actually, when I got cancer and cut my hair off, actually I didn't, you cut my hair off. I told my dad that I didn't tell my dad I had cancer. And so it was really short, from long hair to really short hair. And I saw him then and he looked at me and said, "Why have you cut your hair?" And I said, "Oh, I just fancied a change." And he went, "Your poor husband, how awful you look."
Yeah.
To be fair,
Anyway.
we had just got 4 pairs of kitchen scissors and just done that like that.
You did chop it off. But the truth is because he had forgetfulness quite badly, I didn't think he would be able to cope with understand. I was worried that he'd get really muddled between, because sometimes he didn't know he had a daughter, and sometimes he thought I was his wife, and sometimes he thought his wife was his daughter. He got really confused by who everyone was, and I was really worried that he would muddle up the fact that I was his daughter and the fact that my mum had died of breast cancer, and he'd think I was going to die, or maybe he'd think I was his wife. Or I just thought he didn't need that stress in his life, so I thought I'd just lie. So I did, and that's okay, I think.
Yeah,
It's fair enough.
You know, but yeah, no, he couldn't really understand why I got my hair. But that's okay.
I've just got one quick question, because you know how, as an adult, you've probably done some probably rebellious things. A lot of adults have, say, tried a cigarette or got too drunk one day, and you raise your kids telling them that you should never smoke, you should never drink alcohol until you're 16 or 18 or whatever. And why is that not an open thing where you go, I did it, please can you not?
Probably because you don't want to normalize it. And I think there is an element to the fact that I think the things that you don't really want your children to do, if you say, yeah, I did it loads, but probably best not to do it yourself, they're more likely to do it.
Yeah, that's probably
Which
true.
is probably true.
So you're letting them make up their own mind on a...
Yeah, not feeling they
decision.
need to basically let them reach their own conclusion.
Yeah.
And also, I think children, as you grow up, I actually believe you need boundaries to kick against. If you have no boundaries at all, you're kind of looking for something. People feel safe, I think, when they know where the edge is.
Yeah.
And if you have no boundaries, no edges, and you just go, you can do whatever you want, really, day and night, whatever, you just knock yourself out. I think that makes children feel quite insecure. I think adults don't like it either. Everybody needs boundaries, because then you know where you're standing. And I don't think if you've got no boundaries to go up against, then I think you're a bit lost.
I've just got a quick question.
Yeah, go.
Have you and Dad ever lied to each other?
Probably.
Ooh.
I mean,
Have you got a little anecdote that you could...
No, because I wouldn't, I've lied, so I wouldn't want to tell you. I'm sure there are loads of... Is it lying when you sort of don't really tell the truth to not hurt their feelings?
Depends how significant it is, I would say.
That's what I'm thinking. So if they kind of get your piece of jewelry and you think it's really ugly and you say, oh, that's lovely, is that lying?
So which piece of jewelry did Dad get you
I'm not saying that's ever happened.
Yeah.
That's never, ever happened.
She's wearing the earrings that you gave her for Christmas. She's speaking about those earrings.
I'm wearing this. Charlie gave it. It's very beautiful.
But you wear dangly earrings all the time.
I love it. No, I'm not talking about that.
Well, I can't bloody trust you now, can I? You liar.
That is the problem.
I'm never going to get you a present ever again.
Oh, no. Look, I wouldn't be wearing them if that's beautiful. Oh, actually, I've lied loads of times, actually, to Dad. I realised, because he thinks I've got timing disorder, which basically means, you know, when you're meant to be somewhere in an hour and you look, say, at the sat-nav or on the train and you know you're going to be 2.5 hours away.
Yeah.
And you think, okay, I'm meant to be there in an hour, but if I say I'm 2.5 hours away, I'll get in a lot of trouble. So what you say is I'll be there in like an hour. And then when you get a bit closer, you go, oh, I might be maybe about half an hour late. And then once you're half an hour late, you go, oh, I'll be there in about another 20 minutes. And then...
Yeah, and you lie.
And then you kind of grab...
You've got that trait as well. It's so annoying. If you just said, I'm not going to be there for another 2.5 hours. I wouldn't be waiting around for you. I'd go and get on with something else.
The other thing I like to add about is things like if we have to leave at, say, 7, I'll probably say we've got to leave at 5. Because I
Okay,
then,
yeah,
5.
you lie
He's
about
that bad.
and you
But we
children
lie-
are even worse. Dad, I'd say maybe I'd probably, if we were meant to leave, or if we were meant to be somewhere at 7, I'll say, we have to be there at 6, because I know we're probably going to be late. If it's you guys, I'll probably add 2 hours onto that and say we have to be there at 4, knowing we have to be there at 7. So I would lie all the time about that.
That's actually not 2 hours, but
Well,
bit
I just
embarrassing.
add some extra time because I know that you're going to make me late and I don't want to be late. So I randomly add time on. So that is also another lie, actually. In fact, there's loads of lies.
There are loads of
thinking
lies.
about it. Yeah. I think I've discovered we're a family of inveterate liars.
Yeah.
That's terrible. In fact, maybe we lie more than we tell the truth.
I remember when I accidentally filled the car up with petrol. It's a diesel car, and I tried to. I went for a while trying to pretend that it just broke down.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think
It was
You should
really-
have been ashamed, though. So I'm glad you were.
I was really ashamed. It took a lot of courage to admit that it was a lie and admit that I did in fact put petrol in the diesel car. They don't go very far, cars, when they've got petrol in
No,
the
they don't.
diesel car.
They don't.
I mean, about probably 800 meters, I'd say.
Yeah. Although I
It was a
have
pretty
to
empty
admit,
tank, though.
I have to admit, there was a time.
You've done that before as well.
I have to admit, I have done it. I did it with all 4 of you in the car. We were on the way back from Yorkshire and had you 4. All of you were tiny, and Billy was only about 5, I think. And you were
I
very
had to carry Laurie. And
You did. They made us walk for about half a mile through some town that they took us to.
This is a moment that we kind of hear. It's kind of a monthly story about how heroic Billy was, saving all of us from the broken down car.
It was so.
I didn't.
Which, Mum, can I just tell you, that's the first time you've ever admitted to me that it wasn't a broken down car. Just so you know. Furious about that, because you gave me such a lecture when I filled the car up with petrol.
Well,
And it was...
it was broken down.
Now all the
It
truth
was
comes
broken
out.
down. Do you think we need to rebrand the lie and have good lies and bad lies?
Yeah, I think they're really because it's a white lie, isn't it? If you say something that is not
What, like?
to make someone feel better, so like,
Yeah, if you say, "Do I look horrible?" and you go, "No, you look fine."
yeah.
That
Yeah.
you don't really.
Or
Should
if,
you just
or
say
if,
no? You
or
look
if someone
awful,
spends,
actually."
if you have someone that spent ages and ages cooking something, and then it's disgusting, but you eat it and you go, "Oh my God, this is delicious. Thank you so much." I think the thing with lies is that if the person that you lied to found out, would they be up? If the truth was to come out, would they be upset? Would it break trust?
That
But if you're
is
lying
true.
about something that would break their trust, then
That's not an okay lie. That's it. You're right.
If you're lying to protect, it's okay. But if you're lying to deceive, then I don't think it's okay.
Because it's your intentions that matter
Mm-hmm.
when you lie.
So, Mum, after the break, we're going to be talking about giving up.
Right, Mum, have you ever heard of quiet quitting?
I guess it means quietly quit. No, I haven't.
Basically, it's the idea of putting like the minimum amount of effort that you possibly can, doing the bare minimum for your job, basically. So basically, it went viral in 2022 after COVID-19, when people were working from home and they were having more flexible hours, and they were basically becoming to reassess their work life priorities. So it's the idea of basically doing only what you need to do for your job and no more, putting in minimum effort, essentially. It's not really quitting your job, it's more...
So that's a
quietly
difficult
quitting and
thing,
slowing
because I sort of think one thing I admire about your generation is that you treat your spare time as something of value. Whereas when I was young, and actually I would say still now, I feel a bit guilty for investing time on myself. I sort of think it's a waste of time. And I recognise like at the forefront of my brain, I think, no, it's not a waste of time if you're just doing something for yourself. But I still feel guilty and think, oh, no, it is a waste of time. I can't do something just because I enjoy it. Whereas I quite admire your generation because you don't think it's a waste of time spending time doing something you like.
Yeah.
But
Do you think there's something to be said for the fact that, like, if you are going to do a job, you might as well do it to the best of your ability?
well, that's what I've always thought.
Because there
But
is
the
like,
thing is, what do bare minimum? That
but
means
like you're if say you're at work, you're at work for I don't know what, 10 hours. You're doing a 10-hour shift wherever you're doing it, whether you're working in a restaurant or whether you're working but like in an office somewhere. If you're there for 10 hours, you might as well do the best you can for 10 hours.
But if you do the bare minimum, you could be sending texts to the person that you wish you
really true.
were with. You could be kind of nipping out and having a chat with the person next to you, who then becomes one of your best mates, and then you can have a really strong relationship with your coworker, and you can be best mates, and you can.
I would say trying
work.
to get out of doing things is much more exhausting than just doing something to the best of your ability.
But you always kind of work for you were working for yourself at my age. You were kind of doing up houses on your own terms.
But
so if you were quietly quitting in a business that you owned and you ran and you worked for, it probably wouldn't have been the same.
It would have been very stupid, wouldn't it?
But
actually, even
if you were doing the bare minimum
for myself,
yeah.
No, but actually, can you imagine? I think I'll just not work today. You naughty
But there is a massive difference, though, because you were working for yourself, but a lot of people aren't fortunate like that.
No, that's not true, actually, because I did lots of jobs when I was younger, and all of them, I didn't like doing nothing. So I remember I babysat once, but it was a really young little boy, and when he was asleep, I was so bored that I said, "Look, please, there's got to be something to do. Can I?" And the railings outside all were flaking off. And I said, "Listen, if you go and get some paint when he's asleep, I can paint the railings." So while he was asleep, I painted the railings because I was like, well, it's a hell of a lot better than doing nothing. And I didn't want to do nothing. And then did their gardening and
I think
things.
that's probably why you're quite successful, though.
Maybe.
Because if the kid went to sleep and I was babysitting, I'd probably turn on the TV.
I guess what I'd say is I would much rather, if you can, at work really hard and for, say, an hour, and then say, right, I've got all my work. That's why I like being self-employed. I'd rather work really hard, stop and go and do something else really hard, rather than elongate and sort of stretch out doing practically nothing.
That's sort of how we do music as well, though. That's because we're it's all us. There's no one telling us.
Self-motivated.
We don't get paid hourly or anything. So it's all about
results.
It's all about results. It's not about time spent.
I don't think you can quietly quit and be self-employed. I think you have to quietly quit. To quietly quit, you have to work for someone else.
Yeah, but if you do quietly quit, you are unlikely to be the person who is promoted. But maybe you don't care.
Yeah,
maybe you're
yeah.
happy.
But I think that's the whole is kind of what it boils down to. Is it's like
time
they've
serving.
they've reassessed their like work life.
And they don't want the promotion
Balance.
because they want to just do
because that's not what they want. They don't
bare
want
minimum so that they can spend the most time at home.
Or doing something else. Work clearly is not a priority to them. Basically, it's about not doing that unpaid overtime, not getting emotionally invested in what you're doing because...
So not caring too much. If you
not caring too much what happens, yeah, because at the end of the day, they're concentrating on what...
On their real life.
On their real life.
So that basically is
So work
saying,
is just an excuse to get paid.
It's just a way of getting the money to go home, to enjoy home.
Okay, but there's some shocking facts around this. So in Gallup's Global Workplace Report for 2022, it showed that only 9% of workers in the UK were engaged or enthusiastic about their work, suggesting a significant portion may be quietly quitting. That's a big number of people that say they're...
That's 91% of people
hate their job.
Hate their job.
That seems about right.
Do you think?
How many people do you walk up to at a dinner party or when you meet friends and go, so how's your job? And they go, oh, I just love it so much.
I don't think.
Wow,
I'd say,
I know loads of people who love their job.
I know loads of
They
people.
don't love all their job. Nobody loves every bit of their job, but a significant proportion of it. So all jobs have a whole load of hard work that you've got to do that you don't like doing, because it can't be like fun and games all day, every day. So they say if you do a job you love, you'll never work a day in your life. Well, I think that's true, but there are bits of every job that aren't as fun as other bits.
Can you not just work hard and play hard throughout your entire life?
I think all the way through, just
Yeah.
work hard. That is the key. So it's really interesting you brought this up, because I think quietly quitting sounds unbelievably depressing, because
so do I,
think
actually.
you should do everything as much as you possibly can, because it might all be over. So I'd say just work. If you're going to be at work really hard. I sort of agree, don't necessarily do
But I think if
unpaid
you hate your
overtime.
job so much that you're trying to quietly quit, you should probably get a different job. Even if it pays less, you should probably get a different
Absolutely
job.
agree with you. Yeah.
The thing is, though, is that not everyone's lucky enough to have the option to switch jobs. So surely at that point, looking after your mental health, making sure that you're not burning yourself out, saving time for your family, saving time for your... and they're still doing the work. They are still doing the work. They're just not, going for it as much as possible.
And working overtime.
And working overtime, unpaid overtime. They're saving time for their family and their friends. That's kind of the idea, is that they're...
Yeah, I do take that, and actually putting a value on your own time and your own mental health and your time with your family is something I think that my generation went brilliant at.
I think that there's a lot to be said for quiet quitting, and I think that it's true. I think that maybe reassessing your work-life priorities is, and I think you do need to make time for your family, because realistically, if people in your generation, they worked and they worked and they worked, and do they have a lot to show for it? Because realistically, your kids leave home at 18, and if you weren't there, then you might have missed out on certain stuff. I'm not saying that I necessarily agree with it. I'm just saying
it's maybe got a place.
that it maybe does have a place. Yeah.
What about, instead of quietly quitting, you just find something to love about what you are doing? So whether it's kind of having a really good friendship with someone in the workplace, or kind of finding something in particular about the career that you really love, or having a bit of an aspiration as to what you want to achieve in the next few months or whatever.
Yeah, I think intentionally avoiding doing things is quite wearing and quite boring.
And I think it's quite bad for your mental health not having any aspirations and any aims and any enjoyment in the workplace.
The thing I do admire about your generation is that you do value your work-life balance.
But then I do also admire the fact that you would work through the night with Dad to get a house done. I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Right, I think we should quit this part of the podcast. After the break, we're going to take a listener question.
So I've been reading some of the listener questions, and one that someone asked was, when was the last time that you went on a girls' night out?
Oh, many years. Many years.
The listeners made you speechless. What's going on?
Literally, that's incredible, isn't it?
You don't really do girls' nights, though, do you?
I don't know. I kind of don't really. I don't really like the idea of them. That doesn't mean to say I don't have lots of girls that I like.
Yeah.
But I think when I was young, I couldn't stand the idea of boys' nights out, and I sort of.
What, without you, or
Without me, I didn't want to be excluded from a night out. And I sort of think if you don't really want boys' nights out, it's a bit hypocritical to have girls' nights out.
Yeah.
I'd rather you just went out with people you like. I suppose I fundamentally believe in equality, and I fundamentally think anything that excludes someone due to their sex is just weird and archaic, and I don't understand why you have to do it. I mean, lots of people enjoy girls' nights out, so I've got nothing against other people
And
doing
I've
it.
enjoyed boys' nights out. I've found them fun.
Anyway, I've got lots of female friends who I would go and meet, and we might go for a walk or go out to supper, or go and, I don't know, normally go for a walk or meet for coffee, or I mean, I've got loads and loads of female friends. I just wouldn't call it a girls' night out. Loads
and loads of female
at
friends. At
least two. I have, when we first, where was it? I think it might have been down here, actually. Slightly embarrassing for Dad. But I was invited to something somewhere. And I just said yes to everything because we moved down here. And I was like, oh, invited to something. So I said, oh, Graham, what we're going to hear. And I went to this supper, and it was a girls' night. Like, it was only women. And I turned up with Dad. So he was the only man. It's like, but you know what? He's so brilliant. He was so game on. He just went, I'm not sure I'm meant to be here. And I went, oh. No,
Well,
I
and
didn't.
then for some reason he was really game on when there were 30 girls. All...
No, about 50. 50 women.
50 girls and
the attention.
all having a girls' night. And he's such a hero, isn't he, for sticking by your side.
Hero,
And
such a hero.
brave man. Brave man.
I suppose also a lot of if I had to pick my top favourite 30 people, it would be a mixture of boys and girls.
Yeah.
So my favourite people aren't just girls. There are some girls and some boys. I don't really like I hate the thought of being left out of something, and I wouldn't want to leave a boy out because they're a boy. Yeah.
I swear you went on your dad's stag do.
I did. Yes, his latest marriage to gorgeous Granny Jane. Yeah.
Where did you go? What
We
was the
went
stag do?
I've got a lovely nephew, you know, Joe, who's my lovely
Yeah.
nephew. He had this cocktail bar in Brixton. And so my dad had his stag party. He was about 70 actually at the time. And so he was 70, and my brother organised it because he was his best man. And then I had I've got lots of steps, so they all came, stepbrothers. And then Dickon said, you better come because I know you'll be really cross, because if you're not invited on the stag party, which I went absolutely too right. So I was the only girl at his stag party.
Did you wear trousers?
Yeah, totally.
One of the lads.
Yeah, I was wearing trousers.
Stone Island.
Literally, yeah. I was on the stag. Drinking cocktails on the stag.
Yeah, you were.
Do you think I'm really uncool? You do, don't you?
You're going in with illness. Yes. But it's a good thing being uncool.
I'm not uncool.
No, you are. You are.
I'm not uncool.
No, you're not uncool. I would say you're in the top 10 coolest people I know.
I'm coming on your stag do's as well, which is going to be wonderful. I am.
Are you?
Uh-huh.
Ah.
I'm not going to.
I don't think I'm going to
do?
have a stag do. I think they're really old fashioned. For all the listeners, that was a wink to Billy there. If you pay for a round at the pub, you can come on a stag do.
Of course you're coming on a stag do.
I don't like being left out because I'm a girl. There we
No,
are.
no, no.
That
Of
is
course
what
you're
I
coming
don't
on a
like.
stag do. We've already established that lying to protect someone's feelings is okay. So of course you can come on our stag do. The listener might have been asking, when did you have a night out or like some time to yourself or something like that?
Oh.
Because
Well, that as
you're
well.
pretty obsessed with work. I'm not that's not to say that's a bad thing, and it does normally involve your family. So it's not like you need to do quiet quitting because it all ties in with us anyway. But you are pretty obsessed with it, and you don't really enjoy doing nothing.
Well, you say that.
So-
You had a pretty big night on New Year's Eve.
I did have quite a big night on New Year's Eve.
That's true.
Legend.
Yeah.
Legend.
And Christmas Eve, you
And
got a
Christmas
bit
Eve.
carried away,
Got a bit overexcited.
and then went to bed on Christmas Day, worryingly early.
Yeah, quite early.
Embarrassing.
Yeah, no, I do kind of like my own time.
Does having kids affect your social life as badly as people say it does?
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. It goes through stages.
Sorry.
You know, it's too late now, isn't it? When you were little, it was actually weirdly easier because, like 7:30, you go to bed, and that's not always. You get
That's
up
what
again.
And then you kind of mixed with. It's a really easy way to make new friends as well because there's all the parents at all the schools at
at your nursery, you meet all the other parents, and then their school, you meet about other parents. So that was kind of
good for your social life.
Yeah, and you went to bed in the evening. So
and
that
you'll
was,
have something in common.
That's what you think.
Well, I mean, you didn't go to bed. You were meant to go to bed. Now that you're older, you're much better company. You're really fun to spend time with now. But there isn't the time where it's not like you're around until 7 p.m. and then it's Dad and I.
I've got a solution for that. Let's have a podcast special, seriously, with gin and tonics. And then we can all have cocktails and then beers and stuff. And we can all get really hammered on the podcast. And by the time we get to the bloody listener question, we're not even going to know what the listener question is. That sounds like
That's just brilliant, Charlie.
And that's quite quitting there. We're just slowly merging the two.
Well, thank you to anyone who's listened to this. Hope you enjoyed it. And thank you very much sitting on the sofa there.
No, we had a seriously good time.
Oh, that's the one there.
See you next week. If you'd like to submit a topic for us to discuss, please email us. The address is mail@seriouslywithsarahbeanie.co.uk. Seriously was created by me, your host, Sarah Beanie, and our producer, Jonathan Profaska. The show is recorded and edited by Jonathan Profaska and Christian Kay.